under the silent night sky. The mechanical rotation patiently dances with the current of water churning into white foam, awakening a magical light that pierces the pristine darkness. But every magnificent miracle originates from the dustiest, darkest corners. A rusty engine block carries within it a heartbeat waiting to be reborn. Each piece of soulless metal is about to be awakened by the warmth of the craftsman's hands. A tiny joint will become the bridge for grand rotations. A sleeping gear in the corner of the workshop is now chosen as the new transmission heart. The scattered, fragmented pieces begin to find the common voice of movement. Amidst the cluttered scrap, an old bicycle prepares to sacrifice its final soul. The worn-out rotation of the wheel will soon embrace a mission beyond the paved roads.
The rough aluminum sheet is a blank page to draw the blueprint of life. The compass spins, marking the first boundary for a journey of transformation. Precision in every stroke is the guiding
principle of visionary craftsmen. From a fragile sheet of paper, a mold for the soul is gradually trimmed and revealed. Each position is carefully fitted, carrying hope for a sturdy future.
Smoothing along the folds, the craftsman pours meticulousness into every small template. 4 focal points as the needle touches the aluminum surface, like sowing seeds for a long-lasting structure. Smoothing along the folds, the craftsman pours meticulousness into every small template. 4 focal points as the needle touches the aluminum surface, like sowing seeds for a long-lasting structure. Test audio.
The saw blade tears through the aluminum edge, stripping the core from the excess material. The shape of the flange is complete, rough but full of power. Sparks fly from the grindstone, smoothing the rough edges, leaving behind a flawless surface. The gear and the flange have finally reunited, merging into a solid block. Every tightened screw locks in the promise of an untiring rotation. The metal heart is now firmly attached to the skeleton of the wheel. Reborn, a tiny steel shaft bears the heavy responsibility of transmitting massive power. The lathe shaves away the flaws, exhausting its labor to create an absolute fit. The small gear lies obediently on the welding table, waiting for the moment of melting and blending. The blinding arc light is like a purifying flame, melting 2 souls into one. The transmission gear now tightly embraces our energy source. Just a gentle spin brings the feeling of life rising up. This dry plastic pipe will soon turn into wings spreading wide to embrace the water flow. Each chalk line traces the trajectory of the blades cutting through space. The circumference measurement is exactly the surface area that will directly welcome the power of nature. 4 parallel lines divide its body, preparing for a spectacular division. The screech of the circular saw rings out, slicing longitudinally through the silent material without a single complaint. A cloud of plastic dust flies blindingly, leaving behind sections of round pipes ready for the transformation. The saw's rotation never rests, continuously producing nameless shapes. Scrap pieces are scattered about, but in the craftsman's eyes, they are uncut gems. The splitting in half turns the sealed cylinder into a bucket full of ambition. A series of gray claws take shape, waiting to stretch out into the waterfall. The perfect curve of the plastic promises to fully embrace and retain the power of every surging wave. The first wings are pressed against the skeleton, like a fledgling just growing its feathers. The drill bit bores small holes, paving the way for the vital structural pins of the water wheel. The meticulousness in every measurement protects the machine from the risk of shattering when battling storms. Piercing through the tough plastic shell, the craftsman provides it with the most solid support. An army of shiny screws emerges, ready to bridge and connect the scattered fragments. Driving screws through the plastic walls, every small joint creates a resilient resistance. The very first bucket to catch water has locked its soul into the one unified rhythm of the wheel. The drill screeches in sharp metallic bursts, forcing the materials into mechanical discipline. The second blade follows, forming a continuous circle of repeating patience and passion. Blade by blade, they overlap each other, layered like the scales of a sleeping dragon. Inverting the rotor, the craftsman also reinforces the hidden side of the crescent. The final piece is inlaid, completing the primeval beauty of its cycle. The outer rim is securely locked, creating an impenetrable shield against fierce waves. 4 calloused hands double-check the tightness, carefully nurturing the soon-to-be-born brainchild. The massive diameter promises to wring out every drop of natural energy. 6 cold steel pipes are pushed into the bending machine. Preparing to endure an agonizing twist, hydraulic power bends the steel framework, shaping its rigidity into accommodating curves. The curved steel forks are test-fitted, becoming wide-open arms supporting the incubator. Brilliant sparks dance again, casting aside the excess, leaving behind a perfectly fitted steel frame, locking the steel frame into the shark jaw vise, preparing for deeper interventions into its core. The drill bit grinds into the galvanized coating, piercing the destined intersection between the rotating axis and the mount. The 4-wheel axles slide into the drilled holes, like the final key unlocking the door of hope. A dusty, rough chain measures the transmission limits, binding the motor's fate to the rotation. Is less than, item is greater than. A gentle push of the hand, is less than item, is greater than. And the wheel spins wildly, proving its is less than item is greater than. Smooth, unhindered movement. Is less than, item is greater than. The heavy motor is quietly fitted onto the frame, is less than point, item is greater than. Awaiting a throne of its very own. Body, is less than item, is greater than. Deafening hammer strikes, reshape the thick sheet metal, is less than by, item is greater than. Forcing it into submission to become an energy launch pad, is less than, item is greater than. 4-arc welding flashes roar, fusing the metal base to the pillar frame, is less than, item is greater than. Eliminating any looseness or instability, is less than, item is greater than. Even a slight tilt, item, must be carefully, is less than, item is greater than. Measured and calculated to optimize the aluminum chain's tension, is less than, item is greater than. The final screws pierce through, is less than, item is greater than. Anchoring the creator's faith in the raw machine, is less than, item is greater than. The throne has been established, is less than, item is greater than. The power-generating heart is less than points, item is greater than. Sits proudly upon the cold, steadfast steel block, is less than, item is greater than. Every nut is tightened to the limit, is less than, item is greater than. Allowing not a single pulse is less than, item is greater than. A vibration, to destroy the dream of illumination. The chain has engaged the gears, firmly locking, their vow to share the vital heartbeat of the cycle. Hand cranking it, the chain system glides smoothly. The song of transmission has sounded its first note. The pristine white lead bars lie still, harboring a burning desire to pierce the night. The electric current from the Giveno, generator's heart is carefully soldered, awakening the veins of light. Attaching the light bars to the mount, the machine adorns itself with a rising halo. Darkness falls over the workshop, setting the stage for the great transition about to burst forth. A roaring blast of compressed air simulates the fury of a rushing stream, slamming hard against the plastic fins. The light strip blazes brilliantly. The miracle of energy has manifested, rewarding all the arduous labor. The light spreads powerfully, tearing through the enveloping darkness, promising a dawn amidst the mist. A greater challenge awaits. A massive lead panel will drain the generator's full capacity. The tiny vanes must now bear the burden of transmitting energy for an artificial sky. Lifting the bright panel, the artificial halo swallows the night like a star fallen to earth. Hanging the artificial torch on a flagpole, the machine now resembles a dryland lighthouse. The clamp meter holds tight, its numbers accurately translating the language of voltage power. The air hose unleashes a furious gale as the frantic rotation wrings out every last ounce of life force. The currents surge decisively past the 25 mark, a powerful testament to the efficiency of mechanical energy,
with fluctuating winds testing its endurance. Each number danced to the rhythm of nature's breath, slowing down and gradually fading away. The cycle of reincarnation reminds us that energy cannot remain still. The peak limit was reached. 52 volts was a resounding victory of intellect and hands. The welding sparks faded, then flared brightly again, permanently binding the joints of the mechanical beast. Placed upon sturdy bases, the machine was ready to don its resilient legs. Discarded scraps of steel were carefully selected, carrying hope within them, pieced together into a grand framework. Choosing large screws meant ensuring absolute safety against the raging flash floods. The drill bit plunged into the steel pillar, carving out a junction to anchor the machine's balance. Melting heat firmly bonded the nuts to the steel.
The cold saw blade chopped through the long iron bar, determining the size of the sturdiest stabilizing anchor. Shutting the door on any chance of collapsing before the roaring waterfall. Spinning wildly to test the simulated water flow. The machine stood tall and perfectly balanced, proud and without a single rattle, creating highly flexible rotating joints. The towering steel legs were electric arc welded, permanently burning into the body of the great machine. The impact driver tightened the locking pins, stripping away any movement that could destroy our faith. The welding flame patiently crept into every crack, sealing all the fragile, weak gaps. With primal muscular strength, the wrench ground its teeth, locking in the future of the machine station. The final dialogue with the light in the closed workshop, connecting the lifeline of the newly formed current. The light tore through the workshop's darkness, proudly declaring the success of the creator's hands. Every dark corner of the room was cleansed by the blinding, constantly flickering light. Leaving behind the burnt smell of metallic oil, the muddy stream swirled and flowed, calling out to nature's children deep within the forest. Carrying the heavy machine on a pilgrimage to the water source, they began a pact with Mother Nature. Step by step, immersing themselves in the freezing current, they felt the ferocity and ruthlessness of the wild rapids. Holding hands tightly, they waded through the pressure of the stream, bringing hope to anchor it deep into the riverbed. A slight unsteadiness and a slip on the mossy rocks, the mechanical burden seemed to drag down the porters' bodies. Maneuvering through the eddy, bare hands struggled to plunge. The heavy steel structure deep, fighting the buoyant force. The machine touched the bottom, standing proudly amidst the rapids. Firmly anchored and balanced amidst endless crashing waves, it maintained the perfect harmony between mankind and the wild waterfall. The furious water pushed and crashed into the plastic blades, forcing the wheel into a wild spinning dance, slightly adjusting the tilt angle to catch the strongest current, squeezing out every last drop of energy, slipping through its fingers. The raging spin roared, tearing through the water's surface. The machine had merged with the fierce heartbeat of wild nature. The terrifying thrust continuously slammed into every plastic fin, eroding the prejudice against discarded scrap materials. The golden rope trailed along the grassy bank, anchoring. Safety for the spiritual child struggling out in the distance. Tying the machine's life to the giant forest tree, it wrestled against the strength of the forest stream, making it impossible to swallow and sweep away. Standing firm and silently bearing the storm, the spectacular gray moon swallowed the anger and released the cycle of reincarnation, tying a life and death knot on the drooping branches, locking the rustic pride into the protection of the old forest. The sprocket ground its teeth, speeding away under the stream's drizzle. The motor's heart beat madly, exhausting its strength, as thousands of shattered water drops shot out from the plastic source, dancing the waltz of chaos and multiplying energy. Standing and watching the silent mechanical masterpiece work, blending perfectly into the breath of the desolate, overwhelmingly silent landscape. Every large and small gear hastily chased each other, distilling the fierce water current into an overflowing invisible electrical bloodstream. The machine, like a giant spider, spreads its legs to cling on, stubbornly drawing out nature's lifeblood, to spin a cocoon of light. The blackened charging box prepares to swallow the pure energy, accumulating nature's vitality into the artificial lead. Battery cores, dragging its blood vessel cords up to the tall, dew-soaked grass, connecting the electronic nervous system to the rippling muscular heart underwater. A blinding blue light awakens, signaling that the invisible veins of energy have officially spread and rushed through the entire body, connecting the thirsty charging station to the energy rescue post. The lifeless, the battery cells begin to breathe, drinking in the essence of heaven and earth. The wild current surges through the twisting, mud-stained cables, finding its way to the destination to soothe the thirst of modern civilization. Amidst the silent vastness of the grand forest, the machine patiently keeps working, offering its silent rotations, without asking for fame or reward, directly measuring the pulsing voltage of survival reaching afar, serving as a powerful testament to the burning desire to tame this great wild nature. 30-something volts proudly display on the tiny screen, enough to brilliantly revive any hope hidden in the pitch-black corners. Twilight draws its curtains over the gloomy, desolate ancient forest. The silhouette of the sullen mechanical sea monster dives, paving the way for the silent late night. A giant beam of light bursts, tearing through the thick darkness, waking the sleepy, weeds and startle, blazing with fresh vitality. The magical light shines directly into the terrifying pitch-black stream, revealing the body of the tireless machine, plowing away, shedding complaints to shoulder the roaring storm. The scrap iron thought to sleep eternally in a corner now transforms into a blazing lighthouse, illuminating the faith of civilization, lighting up the whole forest. The powerful current weaves through the lonely, desolate darkness, shattering the freezing mist, bringing a flickering warmth to comfort lonely wandering souls. The wheel diligently spins without a trace of fatigue or loud complaints, chewing up every drop of wild water to spit out the most precious gem of modern civilized humanity. A glorious ending for the journey of rusty scrap metal, an endless beginning for the torch of brightness amidst the vast, endless wilderness. The endless rotation channels the vitality of the stream into energy. The steady light concludes a miraculous journey from discarded trash to an infinite light source. The night has been conquered. A resonant epilogue echoes. The light will endure forever.